Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Beretta 92 XI single action only. First, I'm going to talk about the things I like about the Beretta 92 and what drew my interest in the first place. Second, I'm going to be critical of the 92 XI and what I dislike specifically about this firearm. First, I want to start off with what I like about the Beretta 92 XI and what drew my interest in the first place. It has most of the features that you want in a full-size pistol. It has the optics capability, the sighting system, blacked out rear, fiber optic front, easy to pick up, front and rear slide serrations, has the accessory rail, has good capacity, nice metal magazines. The controls are easy to use and are well placed. You don't have to manipulate it in your arm to get to the slide lever stop. You know, some pistols, depending on how thick the frame is, you may have to rotate it in your hand to get to either the magazine release or the slide lever release. Not with this. It also has this little groove here, which I find to be the best to manipulate the slide by. I really like that, and it makes it easy to see if you got something in the chamber. You can, pull it all the way back. It gives you the greatest amount of leverage. It's easy to take apart. All you do is push this button here on this side and pull down on this lever at the same time. Pretty easy, pretty intuitive. You don't have to pull the trigger to do it. Easy to put back. The metal frame is a nice touch because I think that it's more rigid. The grip is nice. It's got some texturing on it. Beaver tail. The grips here, plastic, but they can be changed out for metal. I prefer metal over plastic because of the better feel in the hand. It doesn't make my hand sweat, and more rigid material. So overall, it has a good amount of features with the sights, with the slide, with the accessory rail, good capacity magazines, and it is hammer fired, which is preferable to, I would say, striker fired because of the ability to have a better overall user experience. There are three things specifically that I dislike about this firearm, and I'm going to talk about them individually. First is the rear slide serrations and the manual safety. If you look at the frame and the slide, and now look at the manual safety, look at the line. You see how the manual safety sits above the line of the slide? So it interferes with the function. So when you try to rack the slide or release the slide after it's locked in the rear position, right? There's no way that your fingers don't drag across the manual safety. Normally, these are double single action with a decocker, but this is their first foray into the single action only with the manual safety, and I don't think that the execution was done very well. It does work, but why is there ambidextrous manual safeties? Because the controls are not ambidextrous. And it also interferes on both sides instead of just one. So I think if they were going to use this style of manual safety, it should only be one side here and not a manual safety on this side. It should just be right-handed only, and then be able to flip the controls to left-handed rather than have the ambi safety that gets in the way on both sides. That's the thing I don't like, number one. The second thing I don't like about this firearm is the overall fit and finish. We're going to look at the fitment of the barrel and the slide. So we're going to first double triple check it's safe, and then we're going to actually disassemble, because we are going to look directly at the fitment of the barrel and the slide. So you see, if you were to take a feeler gauge and go around, it would be different measurements. I'm disappointed at the fit and finish, and I'm also disappointed at the finish on the inside. I do know this is on the inside, but I've only put 150 rounds through it, and this had this quite wear when I got it originally. So I was disappointed that I had to clean it so thoroughly already, but I was even more disappointed on the fit and finish here when I finally noticed after cleaning it. I was looking at the barrel, and then I was looking at the fitment of the slide, and I was moving it with my hand manually, see? So the fit and finish for a firearm that cost nearly $800 with an MSRP of nearly $1,000, I'm not very stoked on. The third thing that I dislike about this firearm is the trigger itself. The trigger itself is plastic. So for a pistol that has an MSRP of almost $1,000, comes with a plastic trigger. It's pretty squishy and it's got a lot of play to it. Has that little crunch before it goes off, you see? Crunch. So it's kind of hard to get a consistent trigger pull for me on this one because it has that crunch. So I think other people have said something similar where it's squishy or crunchy, and there is, I think, spring kits that you can get to kind of alleviate that. But at the same time, this pistol is supposed to be kind of like a step down from the 92X Performance, and the trigger is, I would say, pretty terrible. What saves it is the design with being all metal and being more heavy and the good sighting system, but I had a real hard time having a consistent trigger pull. So it is okay on the accuracy wise, but I have a hard time with this plastic trigger first and foremost because it's, cheap and flimsy, and then second, that crunch before it goes off. I don't really like that little crunch. So overall, if I was to give a rating on this, out of 10, I would say I would give it a 5. I'm not really impressed. I think that they missed on the overall fit and finish. The cost is way too high for what you get. I do think that the metal frame is a nice touch, but it's still aluminum, and aluminum is cheap. It's not as expensive as steel. So they cut costs too with the plastic trigger, but the magazines are metal. This is plastic, and then the rest, I believe this is plastic also. So they did cut some corners with production costs, and I think that it affected the overall package that you get. So I think for the price, I don't think this is a good buy. And I think that there's better options out there for the money.